I'm recording you guys, so don't say anything you can't testify to in court.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, so anybody else that is going to be able to come to the mentor meetings? Okay.
So for those of you that can't, just thanks, Carol, I'm glad you're bringing this up. But for those of you who still can't, you can still at least catch up and watch those videos after hours. So some of you, if you miss them, make sure to catch up. But live is the best because that's when you get the real synergy.
Yeah, and this week is, and I'm just telling you this, Tim. This week is inspections, on doing inspections, and Rhonda will be sending out the video. There's actually 2 videos that Dawn did. One video on how to what inspections you should be thinking of if you could do inspections, what they are about, how to tee up your clients for it, and then she actually takes you on an actual inspection review with the inspector, and videos it. So both of those are really, really important. Tim, Dawn cannot make it this week. Okay. Apparently, and we need to talk about this. The calendar did not get sent to all of the people who are supposed to be doing the classes. So she didn't even know it was coming up. She would be happy to redo it again or to do any one of the other classes. But so just remind me that we have to do that to tee up the rest of the people who will be doing the classes.
They're making a note now.
Yeah. And I had called that first months of them, but I thought the rest of them were going to get it on the calendar, and then I was going to just call and confirm. So anyway.
Oh, by the way, Tracy might be a few minutes late. She texted me like 10 minutes ago. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. So how's everybody doing? Are you guys, how are y'all? Anybody finished with your jobs, your things that you were the school teacher?
Yeah.
Any of that?
Teachers in the room that got their schedules got to feel much better.
Yeah. So Nolan, tell us what's going on.
Things are just as crazy. I think it just follows you into your next career. But I'm grateful.
What's crazy? What's your definition of crazy?
Well, I have 4 closings this month, and I have 2 people I'm working with right now, and just it's getting hot outside, and you know.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So 4 closings. That's great. You're still a new agent. You're really doing well.
Yeah, things have been.
Where are they coming? Where did those clients come from, Nolan?
2 are family.
Okay.
One is someone I met from an open house.
Okay.
And the other is a friend from my previous job.
Great. So the one from this week's class should have resonated with you about the open house. Is that somebody that you just met at an open house?
Yeah, it was an open house at one of my listings, and just
how did you capture them?
Well, they were this cute old couple, and they were like, "Yeah, we go to these open houses, and then that evening they're sold." And I'm like, "Well, let me help you." And they're like, "That'd be great." So, yeah.
Okay.
And you have before you go on, Nolan, you actually have a few closed already too, don't you?
Yeah, I've had 4 closings so far.
Wow. Yeah. Good job. Good for you.
Very good job. Okay, so that is not to compare anybody else's production so far. We're going to congratulate all of you along the way. And one of these days, even if you have no closings yet, it'll just the dam will break and it will all start flowing in. So
totally true.
Let's talk about this week's video. Did everybody watch the video? Anybody that wasn't able to watch the video?
They're all shaking their head yes.
Yeah, they're all shaking their head yes. So
Dana, did you watch the video?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. She's listening.
You're on, Dana. You're the last one on, so you're the first one on.
Okay, I watched.
What'd you think? What'd you get from it? Highlight.
Well, I thought it was good timing. I've been getting a few Zillow leads from my mentor, and they're not always the best. So a lot of them aren't like pre-qualified, and it's really easy to kind of just let them go by the wayside. And so I've been trying to follow back with them, even though it's been, a couple weeks. Just not to just let it go, or some people that I've met at open houses.
Mhm.
And I think he kind of touched on that, to just reach out, even if it's been a while, maybe if they've gone cold or warm, and see if they're still interested, if they're still looking. I mean, it's something to keep chasing after. So
I think the really great thing about this particular video is that he broke down the assumptive beliefs that we have about what a lead is. That's my favorite of this whole class, is that he broke it down into how lead generation happens relationally, physically, and the conventional ways. And the highest quality lead would be from, of course, a relational lead. But lead and how it gets to be a lead. Did any of you remember that the stacking of how that was and what it really actually looked like? Because I'd like to really talk about that. When somebody says, when an agent says, I got a lead, that could be, my mom gave me told her best friend who wants to buy a house. It could be somebody walked through my open house. It could be exactly what you're talking about, Dana. Somebody's just inquiring off of Zillow or some other place. Relocation could have given it to you. There's all kinds of different ways that those leads could have come to you. But I think the way that he broke it down in sorting what an online lead looks like, not even talking about relational yet, because relational comes out of it, was really, really good. So do you guys remember what an impression is? What's an impression? Everybody unmute yourself so you can talk freely.
I think, didn't you say an impression is like the first hit, the initial hit that you get, whether it be on social media or like the Zap leads or something like
Right.
that?
Anything that's online, eyeballs. He called it the
Eyeballs, yeah.
traffic, any kind of traffic eyeballs. Somebody's looking through 20 houses. They see one, they say, I want more information on this. That's an impression made. Or there's some online abilities in apps that even if somebody just goes onto your app, it collects that information where that URL came from, what their address is, and then gives you back. I don't like that at all. That's the same reason why I was, I'll look for, I just bought a couple of different Kissick shoes. I don't know if you guys know what those are. They're the kind of shoes you can just step into. They have that back that goes down. So I was looking and I was really doing some research on them. Everywhere I go on social media, Kissick shoes comes up. It comes up whenever you're looking for something, even sometimes because we have things in our house, different kinds of electronics in our house. We'll be talking about something and all of a sudden it comes up on one of our phones or one of our devices. That's freaky to me. But that's an impression, like something that came to you, not with any kind of relationship. No, you don't know whether there's, just like Dana said, don't know whether they're pre-qualified. Nothing about them. So that's an impression. And then what makes it turn into an inquiry? Anybody?
So when you get their email,
Okay, they
Number.
respond.
Yeah.
to some kind of an offer or they're making an inquiry of some kind. Still, you know what about them? Zero. You don't know if they're pre-qualified. You don't even know if they're a stalker and they're gonna come and chop your head off, to go through. So zero still. Curious. Then they become curious. And what's that? When do they become curious?
When they respond.
To repeated inquiries. So same thing with me. Every time this Kissick would come up, I open it up, start looking like, oh, those are cute shoes. Now I want to know a little bit more about them. Got pulled off some other way. Went back couple of different times. I'm repeating my inquiry. Now what happens on my end is I'm getting like stuff that's coming. If I now they've offered me a discount. So give us your email address and your first purchase, you can get 25% off. So now they've got my email address. Now I'm getting stuff in email as well as online. Same exact rhythm happens with any SEO that's established because you guys have either a listing online or you have something that they're inquiring about. So they go from curious to once you've captured, which they did with my tennis shoes, my email address, I am now curious, and I am now a prospect because they've captured my email. They don't have my phone number yet, but they've captured my email. So I am now a prospect. Now I am in a position that you as the salesperson, that's where you want me. You want me as a prospect. I'm obviously curious. I obviously have a need. And now I've even said, okay, well, I'm interested and serious enough that I would use a discount. If I'm going to purchase, I'm going to use a discount. So now I've given you my email. So now I am actually a prospect. Before any of these other things, you got nothing. Honestly, you have nothing. As soon as you capture that, and what I would say is the quickest practice that you can adopt that gets you to prospect, the more time you're going to save. So open houses. Somebody walks away from an open house and you've got their contact information. Nolan, that person walked away from the open, they walked in as a traffic. They talked with you about whatever the house, the features of the house, or you somehow got them in conversation. They were curious, so they responded. Tell me more. Enough that they gave you their email, their phone number, something, and they became a lead for you, which is a qualified opportunity. They're now a qualified opportunity. I'm sure you then found out that particular person, if they were pre-approved with anybody. Were they?
They were cash.
They were cash. Well, yes, they're pre-approved with God. If they weren't, you could have been the facilitator to help them with that. And then they become what is now, they're now your customer because you've done business with them. So honestly, if you guys get this rhythm and you figure out how to circumvent it, you can get to where every single thing is an actual real lead, which is a qualified opportunity. Almost all of my business comes to me as a qualified opportunity. Almost every, Tim, pretty much yours qualified.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have a friend that's, this person that I'm working with is moving to Omaha and they need to buy a house. That's pretty much a qualified opportunity. If they haven't been qualified, pre-approved qualified, then I can help facilitate that.
Right.
But pretty much you want to circumvent as much as you can, the traffic going from traffic, but that's how you start. And you start that with open houses. How'd you guys like the, how he showed you how to do an open house? Did you get anything from that? What'd you get?
I noticed he did not follow the safety protocols that I follow. Going into the bedroom, no thanks. But his questions he asked were useful.
Okay.
And that is valid.
Yeah,
It's very valid. Yeah.
that's very valid. What else did you get from that?
I also noticed that he spoke easily, which I found, I wish I could speak that easily to everybody. The words escape me when I start talking to him, but the way the open houses that I've done have been like crazy madhouses, and I don't know how I would be able to follow people around like that right now, because there's been so many people in the house at one time. And maybe it's just the ones that I've done, but there would be no way for me to circle around with all those people at one time. It felt like I was more like facilitating the crowd than being able to meet up with all the individual people like that.
Yeah, well, that's an example of how you kind of, you can hone in on the conversation versus the numbers. Yeah, a lot of people are going to come in and out the door, but you just need to still fine tune your conversations, drawing people in. You're not going to be able to meet everybody in an open house like that.
Tim, do you do any open houses anymore? You've done a couple of the big ones, but
Yeah, typically I don't.
You know, a lot of you.
I will say, I will say, as far as open houses go, I'm really not the best person to talk because when I'm in an open house, I don't do them very often. They're usually marketing one of my historic listings, and I do a terrible job of trying to lure in new buyers. My mindset is just talking about the house, selling the house, and I'm not trying to draw in new buyers. So, which most of us are and should be. So we can keep talking about that. But Allison Roach has done a really great video, and that's one of our upcoming. Or no, did we just do the AMA with her?
She's in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Allison Roach's video that you'll watch, and then she'll be here on. Well, this is mentor class. She'll
right.
be on our mentor class. She is excellent. And you actually, if you can't be at the mentor class, you can go on to our YouTube channel, and it should be recorded.
It is. So
So
you could go into our mentor class and watch it from the last round, which is in the grow room. There's a video that Allison Roach recorded, and then in mentoring agents, there's a discussion with the Allison. And so the reason I say all that is it's really important. You want to go to the expert, and you go to somebody like Allison. She's going to be able to give you much better advice on how to scoop people up at an open house.
Krista Luther also does a really good job at open house. I have had to recreate my business a couple of times, and when I came here, I started doing open houses, and I still have clients that I met 14 years ago at doing open houses because I learned how to convert and get contact information. Otherwise, why do you want to sit there? I mean, it's a couple of hours on your Saturday or your Sunday. If you don't walk away with something other than holding an open house for some other agent, what's the point? So I think what he said about the way that he talked to people, and at some point there will be less chaos in open houses. And the other thing is do open houses that are going to be the most popular houses, and you'll have more of a chance of capturing some people's attention, and you won't have as much.
Well, and they're not all. Sorry, Carol. They're not all mad houses. I know they are, Dana. But Julia just did an open house for me this weekend, and you had what, like 8 couples come through?
Yeah, yep. And I had watched Allison's video in Grow Room ahead of time to kind of prep myself. And so I used her tips with the sign-in sheet and stuff. And like every single person signed in, they all had agents already. But what I found interesting was within like 5 minutes of me posting a little advertisement for it, a former colleague reached out, may be interested in buying her first home. So even though it wasn't anyone from the open house, people see that you're out there doing things. And so that's kind of a, sidebar benefit. So
That's beautiful. That was wonderful.
Yeah,
Love to
that
hear that.
is. And that's a really good point, Julia. Is the open house is not actually about the open house as much as it's about you and the activity, because activity behooves activity. So the more active that you are, the more active that you become. And as far as the sign in sheet, you got everybody to sign in, Julia? Good job.
Yep. And they all circled like the yes for having an agent. And then I can kind of ask them who their agent was and, have some stuff to send back to the listing agent, Tim in this case. So.
Yeah, and it's how you manage the flow of the people in the house as well, which is really what you're trying to do. Is if you have 8, so you had 8 couples, 2 hours of open house. So 8 couples, 2 hours of open house. It's much easier to manage people. Many agents don't have people sign in on a sign-in sheet. I completely do not agree with that practice. I understand that there are people who will not, like they'll refuse to sign in, or they'll just, whatever. They'll kind of push back on being able to sign in. But if you put it on the homeowner, for the homeowner has requested that everybody that comes into their home, it's a very easy thing to say. The homeowner has requested that everybody that comes into their home sign in. Wouldn't you want people to sign in coming into your home? Like, come on, like, don't be a jerk. I only had maybe one person who ever did a big pushback, and I might have told you guys about this. I had one guy that pushed back, and I said, I was like, I don't want to fight, I'm not gonna kick this guy out or whatever. And I just said, you know what, why don't you just make up a name, make up an address, just fill out the line. I'll feel better for that. And his wife was behind him, and she was like rolling her eyes like, yeah, he's a jerk. So it really is helpful. And then when you're talking to people, you have their names to talk to them. So that's also very helpful and personalized. But the idea is to get people into your database, to get somebody. 9 times out of 10, that's not their house. That's not the house. It's not going to sell in an open house necessarily. I've had very few houses sell in open houses. And if they did, if the person that was at the open house bought it, it's usually they've looked at it and then they came back to the open house. So I don't know what your experience is with that, Tim, but how often do your houses sell in? Well, this is a different market, so it's
a different market. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, totally different. Now, on a different note, I will say, Julia, you did a fantastic job with that open house. You marketed it really good. It was really cute. But your feedback to me that you sent me was extraordinary, and I really appreciated your detail. Although I don't expect an agent who's going to hold one of my listings open to do that. You still did a really, really great job, to the point where I immediately thought, okay, what listing do I have that I want to give her next time? So I guess that is advice everybody should take, is that when you are a new agent and you're trying to do feedback, you're trying to hold somebody else's listing open, I would keep in mind, give them good feedback, have a good rapport with them, because if they're a good listing agent and you want to hold more of theirs open, you want them to come back to you. And yeah, that's exactly what happened with Julia. So, and Nolan, by the way, he did the same thing a few months ago. He's been a great go-to person. I asked him before I asked you, and you weren't available. He wasn't available. So,
have all of you done an open house? Who has not done an open house?
I'm actually doing my first solo one on Saturday.
Yeah.
I helped
Wonderful.
Katie with other ones, and actually, ironically, it's a house that my husband and I put an offer in on 2 years ago and didn't get. That she's relisting. So she's gonna be out of town, and she asked if I wanted to do it. So
Okay. How are you feeling about that, doing it?
really good considering the video that we had, and I've helped Katie on a couple of them, so I'm excited, and it helps that I'm familiar with the house already. But I'm really excited.
What's your lead up, you guys, to doing open houses? What is it that you do prior to an open house?
I do about 13, and I always start like a few days before if I can. If it's one in advance, sometimes it's like Friday night. I need help tomorrow, But my husband usually will make the flyer like 2 days before, and then I put that on my Instagram and my Facebook. And then the morning of, in my story, I'll put the same flyer. And then I try to get there like 30 minutes in advance, and I'll do like a reel on Instagram, or I'll do a quick little video of just maybe the kitchen or my favorite room of the house. And then I put all my hashtags in there, of course. And then actually I get quite a bit of followers who come just because of those hashtags. And not to the open house, but they follow me on Instagram because I use those hashtags.
Which hashtags do you use?
The common ones that I see other agents use, I use like hashtag Omaha Real Estate, Westo Realtor, Omaha Realtor, 402 Realtor, like Miller Real Estate, Gretna Real Estate. Like there's like a whole litany I use. But I'll usually get about 3 to 4 new followers every time I do an open house from those hashtags.
Okay. Any value of hashtags? Anybody have an opinion about that?
I agree too. I listen to a lot of marketing podcasts, and I max out the 30 hashtags on almost every post. Same ones, 402 Realtor, Omaha Realtor, all that. And I get a lot of traffic from the hashtags.
Okay. How do you know?
Instagram.
How do you know you're getting traffic into
the followers and messages, and I've had people, whether they're real or not, have reached out and have said they like what I'm marketing, and they'd like to share my page on something else, or would like to feature one of my posts on a national Instagram page.
Oh, wow.
That's great. So how will you know? How much of that converts to actual business, which converts to checks, which converts to building wealth?
I guess when those followers turn into turns into customers.
Okay.
Or refer me to.
And when you talk with them, do you ask them how they heard of you?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll respond directly to my post.
Okay, so you got many things going at the same time.
Yeah.
What's your best, your most, what do you get the most bang out of? One thing.
For sure, Instagram, I get the most traffic because of the hashtags. I feel like Facebook, sometimes Facebook is better for people I already know.
Mm-hmm.
But they have changed to where if you use the word sale or, anything like that, it's not going to get seen as easily. With Facebook, Instagram, the hashtags are, I think, what bring the most people in because it filters to those.
Okay.
For me, Instagram is the better one in this situation. The reels and the stories.
Reels is really a lot of bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm.
But Reels, Reels is really doing well. Anybody else? What do you use? What do you use in order to promote and that you're getting some traffic from? Nothing. And what do you use?
Me? I don't know. My assistant doesn't. I have no idea.
And,
Well, I was gonna say this, unfortunately, I was gonna say what Tim just said. My open houses were with the previous real estate agency that I worked for, Woods Brothers here in Lincoln,
mhm,
and they kind of did most of my posts for me.
okay,
So, you know, I know that, you know, what they did. They did the flyers, they did the posts,
okay,
you know, and I got really good traffic. I sold 5 houses from July to December, and 3 of them I got from open house leads.
Oh, wow.
So my first open house I did was a little over $1 million house, which
oh,
I'd only been an agent for like 2 weeks, and my
Yeah,
lady
you-
I worked with wanted me to do it. I was like, okay. And so I got my first lead from that house, and we started looking for $1 million homes for this customer. And I thought, wow, this is really pretty easy. But
Yeah.
like that easy.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I was lucky, a couple of them, you know, just like she had said, you know, my first question I learned was, you know, hey, do you have a real estate agent? And I was lucky, quite a few of mine at different open houses said no. So, you know, that kind of was a perfect lead in.
Then
But
what did you do with them? So no, they didn't have one. Now what?
well, once they, you know, went through the house, and one of them thought that the house was the house they wanted, and we put an offer in. They did not get the house, but they, you know, I said, well, you know, now that we've worked together, you know, and I know what you're looking for, let me put a search together for you. And that worked out well. And the same thing, that's usually been my, you know, go-to is, you know, if you tell me exactly your dream house and exactly what you're looking for, I can put a search together, and you'll get, you know, houses every day that tell you, you know, what's out there as early as they come on, you know, up for sale.
So what about your adding, then add them to your database? What do you use? What kind of CRM do you use?
Well, before, with, like I said, with Woods Brothers, I wasn't really. I just had a spreadsheet, and I was listing them on there. But again, I did, you know, through the MLS, almost did a search for almost every one of my customers. So I kind of used that as my database, you know, base too, because I had a list of everybody I had done a list for. But then I started just making a spreadsheet. So I really didn't have one like we are here.
Okay. So now they go up into your referral maker. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then like the rest of you, are you all now up to speed on getting all of your names, contact information into your referral maker? Anybody that's still struggling with that a little bit?
We did cover that also a little bit the last time when you weren't on, Carol.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that everybody
Everybody's
felt
there?
like they were doing a pretty good job of getting that up and going. So
Okay. And your item of value, like that's going out. So you've got that system that's working for you. Everybody got that system working for you? Because that's the one thing before we finish that I want to make sure that you've got, because that's where the relational piece, you got the online stuff, kind of the feeder into the database, into the relationships, and then the relational part. Because what Brian said in his class is, do you remember the winning formula? What percentage of your business comes from relational, digital, and just conventional ways? So let's see, relational. Do you remember how much percentage of your business should come from relational lead generation, Jackie?
70.
70, right. And then 20% from digital and 10% from traditional. So conventional ways. So that's the biggest piece. So we take all this that he taught us and what we're talking about in the digital as being like the storage management place for all of this, but it has to be fed by different places. If you're 70% dependent upon it coming from digital places, that is an incredibly vulnerable place to be. If when you get that business or when you get those names of people, it doesn't go into something that keeps that business going from the relational referral place. So let's talk about that piece that he talked about in relational. in relationship to what you do. Who's struggling with notes or calls, or let's just talk about notes, calls. Anybody struggling with notes, calls? Tracy, you're smiling.
I'm actually doing okay, but and we talked a little bit about this last week, but I do a lot of texting versus calling. Just that's a little bit more. I mean, I still have quite a few people that I'll talk to, but even today, like I reached out to a guy that actually reached out to me right when I first started and asked if I wanted to get together with him, and just he's a mortgage broker, and talk about the industry and whatnot. And back then I put him off just because I was so busy with my other job and everything. So I reached out to him today, gave him a call to see if we could get together for coffee or lunch. So we're going to do that next week. But
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's calls are hard for me.
Marcus, you're shaking your head. Are calls hard for you?
Oh yeah. That's, I guess, just hitting the call button. Having the name up there, but just hitting that call button is just tough. I just feel like my brain goes blank right before. It's just trying to figure out how to start the conversation, I think, is the hardest part.
Marcus, do you have other things that, because I totally understand, making phone calls, even no matter who you are, it can be hard. Are there any other proactive activities that you do well? Like, are you really good with personal notes? Or are you really good with Popeyes? Or are you really good with face-to-face? Do you feel comfortable in your skin in any one of these major activities?
Yeah, I think I can write notes pretty well. I guess practicing from the start of this class, I think I got them down pretty good. Knowing how to start them and knowing what to say on them based on, I guess, the person I'm writing to. Face to face, I guess it just depends who I'm talking to.
Or where you
comes
are.
down to.
Yeah,
where
you are. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. If I'm in a place where there's a lot of other people, I guess it's easier to talk to. But if it's just me and that one person kind of alone, this feels like there's a lot of dead noise around.
Completely understand. Well, by the way, personal notes are my primary best thing I can do as well. I'm very uncomfortable with all the rest, but you just have to push my way through. And it's okay. I mean, it's okay to not be completely comfortable with all of the activities. You just have to fake it until you make it.
I would say that, and I have not thought about this a lot, but probably phone calls is my most comfortable, which is interesting, but it's because of my age. I mean, if I were 20 years old or 22 years old, it would probably be a whole lot different. I would probably be more comfortable digitally texting. I ask my 21-year-old son sometimes, like, why don't you just pick up the phone? Just pick up the phone instead of, sometimes he and I know other people in the same age group that tend to misinterpret a conversation because it's not a live conversation. It's text, and there's so much that you can, there's so much different. But I understand, Marcus, that age-wise, that it is not the easiest thing to be comfortable with the phone, with making phone calls. And you don't have to do as much phone calling as when we first started learning this process.
Right.
Like, there was no, you cannot, texting is not going to work in this whole thing. So, or video, we didn't do video conferencing, or we didn't do, little short video emails or texts. So there's a great way to be able to mix that up. And there is a time to make a phone call. I will tell you that the crap you go through before you even pick up the phone to make the phone call is a lot worse than what actually happens. Out of every phone call that I've ever made, and I'm not really, okay, so I'm not really comfortable making phone calls just out of the clear blue sky. Hey, how you doing? Just checking up on you. Tim is the king of that. Like, that guy can make like 50 phone calls in a day. But I'll bet you if he told, he kept track, 40 of those people don't even answer the phone.
Yes. Totally true.
There's also an app, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because you probably already know it. There's also an app that makes you go right to voicemail. So that's the Kelly McAlunas. That's how she used to make all the phone calls.
Yeah. I get that too.
Yeah. And I was saying, well, God, Kelly, you're not really comfortable making phone calls. How are you making so many phone calls? And then she finally said, like, well, I found this app that goes right to voicemail. So even that is something. I would rather like make a phone call. If they don't answer, then shoot off a text. A lot of people don't listen to their voicemail, or it's full. It doesn't have, like, when you go to voicemail, there's nothing on the other end other than you've reached 402 something. Okay, let me ask you guys this. Do all of you have an actual, like, you left it voicemail?
Outgoing voicemail.
Anybody
Outgoing message.
Have a non-message voicemail? I can't hear you, Trace.
Sorry, like that you actually say, hey, you've reached Tracy with Better Homes and Gardens. That?
Yeah.
Yes, I have that. I did that.
Okay, everybody else, you've done that? If you don't even have to say if you haven't. If you haven't, please do that. And if you want to hear a really, really good voicemail, listen to Tim's. You haven't heard it, because he sets himself up, has for a long time, so that people don't think he's always available and that he actually has a life. He says in it, I'm either with a client or spending time with my family. One of those two things. And I'm sure you get a lot of compliments. At the end of my voicemail, I always say, and just remember, it's a good life. And I get people's feedback all the time, like, God, that made me feel so good. And, it's just something that I say, but the smallest little thing that puts you into a different class than, hi, you've reached Carol Souza. I can't take your call right. I'm sorry, I can't take your call right now. First of all, I don't want to say I'm sorry. And just really be very careful. Write it down and make sure that it's short, sweet, and it says something nice. Leaves people with a really good feeling. So listen to your voicemails and see how it sounds to you. So that's another really important thing for your relationship. Because that first time that somebody calls you, I don't like to get those messages that say this is 402 something, because I hope this is the right number. Because I could be leaving a message for anybody. So make sure that you have that identity. Okay, what else did you guys get or want to talk about, or questions that you have? We've got 15 minutes left. Pick our brains. Talk.
I have a question. So in the open house video that Buffini did for us, he mentioned that he gives some list of homes to these people.
Mm-hmm.
What are people doing? Because I don't want to like set people up on a custom search who are not directly my clients, who are pre-approved. What's something I can hand out to these people, or a resource I can give them so they get a list of homes in addition to that, like buyer survey?
I connect them to HomeSnap, and then I can see everything they're doing, and they can talk with me. I say, what do you use? Because most of them are like Zillow, or if they're people that are from somewhere else, a lot of people use Redfin. I don't know if any of you experienced that, but Zillow, and some people, if they have talked with an MP Dodge agent, they'll use the MP Dodge one or something. But I ask them what they use, and I tell them that the app that most clients are most happy with, that I deal with, is called HomeSnap, and it is the actual, and they kind of like this. I say the back end of this is MLS. This is the consumer facing app for MLS. So it's, when I put something in as an agent that there's a new listing, it is immediately on HomeSnap, versus going through all the different SEOs that distribute that to other apps and other websites. So people, and I say, I'll just send you the link, and it's just one little, give me your email, send them the link. And then when they're looking, and I say, if you have any questions, you can just ask like about the specific home, and it'll come to me and I'll answer you. So you're not being, having talk to 50 different agents. You don't have to work with me. I'll just provide you information. And if you decide that I have value and you'd like to work with me, we're already connected. That's what I do. So
how do you have it connected so that you can see what they've searched?
Well, if you are, do you have a HomeSnap Pro account? It's $99 a year for a Pro account.
Oh, no, then I just have the basic
And
one.
then it says right on the app, it says invite client.
Okay, so that might be worth doing
One
a
little
year
button.
subscription.
It says invite client. If there's somebody that you already have in your contacts, it'll pull up your contact. But otherwise, just put their email or their phone number, either one of those two things in. It goes directly to them. They download the app with one little button. And then when they start looking, if they have any questions, those questions come directly to my messages, and it shows on my phone.
Awesome. And then those don't show for sale by owners, correct? Do any of the others like Zillow and things like that, do those
Yes.
show for sale by owners?
Yes, it does not show for sale by owners, and there's no ads. There's no ads on it. It shows for sale, for rent, all homes, and then you can filter.
Do you know if any of the other things that they're used to looking at show FSBOs, like the Zillows and Redfins and Trulias?
They probably do, and they can continue to look. That has no value to me if there's a FSBO anyway. I mean, I really don't want to promote the FSBOs.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just wondering, if people ask about it.
I hadn't thought about that, Julia. I'm just thinking out loud. No, it doesn't. But it also shows for rents. So,
I have a question. When you pay, and I know this has been talked about on previous ATAs, I believe, but when you pay the $100 to get the HomeSnap Pro, is it automatically going to connect to your Google business page? Like, is there any way around that? Because I've heard that's a drawback of HomeSnap Pro, is that it connects to your Google business page, and then if people try to go to it, it directs them to like HomeSnap.
I do not know that.
Okay.
I've never heard that. That doesn't mean it's not true, but I've never heard it.
What it does do,
Tucker talk about it, so maybe I should reach out to her and ask her.
what it does do is every time we close a listing, it says to me, do you want to send an email to them to give you a review? And I click the button, and the person, I can put their email address in, and it sends them a review sheet immediately about the house that they just bought from us.
So that's another question I have. So I use HomeSnap and I love it because you can invite your customers and see everything they're doing. So like that's my favorite. And you can send them the seller property condition disclosure super easy, or you're going to go look at a house. But for reviews, I'm just like, I feel like I'm all over the place with them. Hold on. I feel like I sent somebody like a Zillow, like I got a review on Zillow, but I'm like, how could I translate that Zillow review to Google or to HomeSnap? Do I have to send one person like 3 different places to review me?
I think so.
You do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wish there was just like one thing you could shoot out and like copy.
Google is probably the best one. If you're going to do reviews, Google is probably the best. If you had to only choose one,
Okay.
I get so little. I have so little dependence on like people going out to Zillow. I don't even care about Zillow, whether there's any reviews there. I know people do look there, but if they Google my name, there's a ton of stuff that I have in my reviews are on there. So
There is an app called Podium, and I've just seen what I haven't done any research. I'm just telling you, I've seen a commercial or an ad for it, and it's supposed to collect reviews for all the different real estate websites. So I just put my assistant on it to look into it. But I think there might be the possibility. So you can just do one and then post on multiple. But other than that, nothing that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Anybody else what do you use, or what are you going to use or beginning to use for reviews?
I just use Zap because I think it's a simple review. You know, they can just give you 5 stars and then say what they love about you, and then it's over.
Right.
Is Zap the database that you use? Like,
So I don't really like any of these CRMs. I like a good old Excel spreadsheet with my tabs, and I like to use Zap for if I need to email something to someone that looks cool, like a drip campaign type thing.
You come out of Zap with that? Okay.
Yeah.
What
So
about the rest of you? What do you use for reviews? Anything?
Who?
Anybody? Reviews. Are you setting, Heather, do you have a system of reviews or something that looks like you're going to use it?
Yeah, getting people to actually complete them, I think, is the biggest struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But I send out links to everything via email, text, what have you, just trying to get them to fill it out. But
So maybe it's overkill. Do you think, like getting them from all different directions, or?
well, I think people.
Or is there one thing that they actually respond to best?
Yeah, well, some of them I think honestly are like, I want to make sure it's good, so I'm gonna take my time with it, and then they just, you know what I mean?
Which speaks to Nolan's just click 5 stars.
Right. I tend to get better results. Like I started sending them out with constant contact. And that I didn't get one response from that. So I don't know if that maybe goes into junk mail compared to if I'm sending a text, there's actually like the links right there. So I'm still trying to figure that one out. But
I have not had any luck with constant contact. I stopped using that a couple years ago. And I think because of what you just said, I think a lot of it goes into junk mail. Do you experience that, Tim? Have you?
I know I do use constant contact, and I don't have a high bounce back rate. If anything, I see we have pretty good success with it, but I haven't done reviews or anything like that with it.
yeah, my newsletter and stuff that I use, the content, like I'm at 35% open rate, which is pretty good.
That's great.
For the reviews, I'm not. So I don't know if it's just views and my clients are like not those people, or my very first house that I sold, they went on every platform, and I was just thinking about it the other day because they put it everywhere. And I'm so grateful for that because now I have reviews.
Good. Yeah, that's great.
But it bothers me because I want to have more.
Yeah.
What I have seen to do for reviews is they'll create an email that asks them to review them, and it has a shortcut to all the different websites like Google, Realtor, Zillow, and then it was instructions like, type your first one, copy, go to the next one, paste, go to the next one, paste, go to the next one, paste, and it was, and I think I even had some that say, like, give me a review and I'm going to send you a $25 gift card or something like that, which some people would say borderline on, bribery. On the other hand, it's just like more like they're not saying give me a good review. They're just saying give me a review.
Right.
Is there like a magic? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Julia. You're probably going to ask the same question.
Oh no, I was just going to ask, is there a good window that anyone has found of when to ask for that review? Like, I just know in my side business, I've kind of found a magical window where I get the most reviews back.
They
I've
say
heard a week before
it.
closing.
Yeah.
A week before closing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is that, Tim?
What's that?
Something hanging.
Charge. My phone is dying. Sorry about that. But yeah, I've heard a week before closing is the best time. They're still happy and excited.
Okay. Any last questions before we review the action steps that you guys take? That's it. You guys tired?
I am.
Done? Call 5 people in your database per day. I'm going to tell Marcus, you don't have to call 5 people in your database every day. And anybody else that needs this can do it as well. Do something. If you want to send a personal note, if you want to just shoot off a text, even a group text, I don't care. Go on Facebook, find them, respond to something that they've posted, do something to 5 people every day. And Instagram, go like something on Instagram, just be active with 5 people in some way every day that's comfortable with you, for you.
Beautiful.
Okay. Write 3 personal notes per day. Don't care if you write 3 personal notes. I want you to write at least 5 personal notes a week, somehow, some way. And if you don't know what to write about, go on to their Facebook pages or their Instagrams and acknowledge something they just told you about, whether it's them, their kids, or write a personal note to one of their kids. If you know people that have little kids, you want to make like 500 points in one shot with a stamp, write a personal note to one of their kids and send something in it. Send a $5 ice cream thing. Send something to a kid. Make a kid happy. Kids have had a tough year as well as us.
You make a child happy, you make their parents happy.
Oh my God. You talk about bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Seriously. If you're showing houses to people that have kids and they're bringing the kids along, follow up with a personal note to the kid or the kids. Seriously, how many times how many times did you as kids run to the mailbox hoping there was something there? And what, like twice a year from grandma? That's it. Grandma's the only one that goes to Hallmark. Yeah, pop by 7 people. You don't have to pop by 7 people. Just do something. You know, if you're doing pop buys, that's great. If you're getting the pop buys from the company, if you can't do them, you know, make up something yourself, then get the ones from the company. I think this month's are they the ice cream or the car wash, or what's the next month's one? It was a good one.
It was a good one. It was so good. I don't remember it. I think it was the
Pinwheels, wasn't it? Or the little pinwheels?
The pinwheels.
Oh,
Fourth
that's
of
right.
July.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do. You can do it in your neighborhood, or you can just do it, you know, you can go around and stick them in the lawn of people that you know or have sold houses to, or just family members.
Yep.
Don't forget family members when you're doing things like personal notes.
Right.
Watch the open house role play video. If you haven't already watched it, you can watch it several times. Watch the open house follow-up video message. If you can hold an open house in the next couple of weeks, please do. And then watch Referral Maker CRM tutorial about the mobile app tour. If any of you have questions about the mobile app, watch that video, because the mobile app will be very helpful for you. And that's all I got.
Yeah.
Week 6 next week is working with a buyer, part 1. So you'll get the video, watch the video, and then we'll see you back here next Monday night at 7. Anybody that can make the mentor meeting on Wednesday, we'd love to have you. Even if you can only be there for half an hour or so, that's fine too.
Here's the one thing I'd like to put in your guys' brains with those Wednesday mentor meetings is come chime in even after you've watched a full cycle of them. You can watch them again and again and again. I mean, you can treat it like an ATA because the content is really good, and you don't have to be brand new. You can need a refresher, and you contribute just being there. So we would love to increase our attendance at those Wednesday meetings.
Yeah, and Tim and I are going to be doing the one talking about inspections. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
I'm going to watch Dawn's things again. So yeah. Or if I can get anybody else, actually, I'll talk to a couple of other mentors, and maybe you could too.
Sure.
Just tell them we need people to come and talk about inspections. So.
Yeah. So if you guys want to know more about inspections or need a brush up, please join that AMA on Wednesday.
Yeah. And watch the video that is on the YouTube library. There's 2 videos of Dawn Grimshaw's. So, any other last questions? Anything? You guys get anything from this today? Okay. All right.
Good.
Happy
Okay.
Monday.
Well, have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.